Hey everyone, this is Timid Falconite coming at you with something different than I usually do, actually. Today, I'm going to be going over my first match from the Egg Cup. Now, if you don't know what the Egg Cup is, um, it's the Advanced Wars by Web tournament made by this small-time Twitch streamer named Mangs. I don't know if you heard of him or not. Anyways, I'll leave a link to his video for sign up for the Egg Cup in the description of this video if you're interested in playing. I think he's got like 810 people playing in this, and you can sign up until well, the tournament's gonna be running until September 1st, so you have enough, so you can basically play until then. And like the matches might take like a week each. If you end up taking like the full amount of time, but you might do, and there's like 9 of them, so the earlier you get in, the more likely you are to get to the end, I guess. Or at least the more likely you'll be able to get to the end. But anyways, he's got this nice spreadsheet here as well. So as you can see here, I was like the 7th person to actually sign up for this. So the fun thing about this is you can actually cover over this quick create game, and it'll actually send you to Advanced Wars by Web and have the match already set up for you. So that's really nice that he has this whole spreadsheet set up for that. But this is, so depending on how far I go, there are going to be more of these, but so that's basically what I'm going to be end up doing for a little bit. I'll be basically putting out these videos as soon as I finish these matches. So I guess this is my first actual like Advanced Wars by Web tournament, so I'm sort of excited to see how far I'll end up going. So stay tuned for that, I guess. But anyways, hold on, I'm gonna duplicate this, and then this one I'm gonna load the high. Mid, yeah, high. So the fun thing about Caustic Finale in Global League is that there's actually no tier 4. The lowest thing is actually tier 2 minus Sammy, because Sammy is stupid in this. Oh wait, there's mid. There we go. So there is tier 3, but there's no tier 4. And it's a very specific thing because Caustic is a popular map and is played a lot. But I guess we'll just go over the rule differences between this and Global League. First thing that you'll notice on the right side here is Global League's usual. Global League is designed for like long ass games. So they have 10. You start with 10 days and get an extra 2 days, and you have the maximum of a week. Egg Cup, since it's basically a month-and-a-half long tournament, you start with 3 days and then you get 6 hours per turn. So generally, like with Global League, you can afford to take 2 days per turn. So like the increment is generally what you're going to want to be aiming to have most of your end up being. You're not going to want to spend more than the increment if you can afford it. Of course, scheduling might end up messing with that a bit, which is why max turn time is like 3 days. But you really shouldn't be spending more than a day per match if you want to get through them in any amount of time, basically. So, yeah, but basically you shouldn't be spending more than 6 hours per turn if you can help it. The other thing about this is, like, there's the Labby, I think, the Black Bombs, which doesn't matter at all. And then there's a 30-day limit as well. So the maximum, whereas Global League doesn't actually have day limits, meaning that the maximum time for this is something like 180 hours. I'd say it's probably like a week and a half. You can theoretically go to for one of these matches, which you definitely don't want to do because you want to get to the rest of the matches as soon as you can, obviously. But yeah, the other thing is Tier 4, which Tier 4 is a bit interesting because there is no Tier 4 in Global League, so that is basically what I'm going to be covering because it is interesting on Caustic now. You have basically, well, in Tier 4 Standard, obviously, as you know, you have Adder, Flak, well, Adder, Grim, Jake, Jess, Cole, and Sonya to pick, and then you have the 2 Luxios as well, Flak and Jugger, which are generally banned in Global League, but they are allowed here. So, Caustic, the thing about Caustic is it's a 4-base map, it's a small map, meaning that it's going to be, and it has no battlecopters either. Well, when I say battlecopters, I mean airports. So it's going to be very infantry-centric. Artillery are very good on it as well, so you're going to want to keep that in mind when you're deciding on a CO. Which, honestly, just looking at the map analysis for this, like it's 38 total properties, which isn't that much, all things considering, so it's not like this crazy high tier, high expense map. You might be able to see medium tanks, but probably won't be able to see stuff like bombers and neo tanks. At least not on the day-to-day. You'll have to save up for those types of units. But as you can see just from the win rates, Adder is at 48, and he's sort of at the highest for all of the tier 4s. Jess is down at 36, Cole's down at 33. Flak and Jugger are actually a little bit higher, but that's only because they don't have that many rounds played. So they're a little bit less serious with these numbers, and they're not in Global League either, so... But just looking at all of that, and there's a reason why Sammy is crazy good on this map, and why she's banned from Tier 2, by the way, because of her infantry. And also her extra moving on APCs. It comes into play in this map. Yeah. So that's basically it. When you're deciding on COs for this, you basically want to pick between Adder and Jake. Adder because he gets his side slip charges up really fast, and that gives him extra movement, especially on infantry, which is where it matters. And then Jake is good because Lock Rock is very, very, very powerful. Even though it's a little bit less flexible than Adder's extra movement. It gives him +2 move, plus 1 indirect range, which means he'll be buffing his artillery even more. And in addition to that, Jake also gets his extra day-to-day bonus on when he's fighting on planes. So day-to-day, Jake is going to end up being could potentially overwhelm Adder in areas like this area up here, or this area over here, or even this area, these areas right by the bases over here, and then this area up in the northeast as well are very good areas for Jake to push into. The upper corners aren't as good because they have a lot of roads and then these bridges where you can choke point off of. So they're not nearly as good for Jake, but they're still okay. And then if Jake gets an artillery in here onto these corners, he gets the firepower bonus from there as well, which is pretty good for just 1 artillery. So it's kind of a coin flip whether you want to go Adder or Jake. I feel like Adder is slightly better than Jake overall on this map, but that's why I picked. So that's why I picked Adder. But Jake's also very, very good. I feel like Grim and Luxios are a distant second, with Cole maybe being a little bit better than them, maybe being a little bit worse because he guys is slow. He's basically Adder, but with slower charge up, and then Jess and Sonya are terrible. Sonya because her luck is bad. Even though I love her in Fog, she's okay. But Sonya's bad. at the end of the day, she's really bad at standard. And then just because it's such an infantry heavy map, her firepower reduction in infantry is going to be such. It's just impossible to deal with on this map. So just not someone I would pick as well. That's why. But also, as I was saying with Grimflack and Jugger, they can basically ball up your units, and then if you push into them at the wrong time, you can just get overwhelmed by them because they have relatively consistent extra day-to-day firepower. Like it's like Flak and Jugger have like an extra 5%, I guess, overall. Well, I don't know. It sort of evens out with the rest of the COs, but I feel like they can be a bit more aggressive. If I were facing off against like a Flak, Jugger, or Grim player, I would expect them to charge the bottom left. But if you're playing anyone else, that's a little bit less in the cards because you can't really push through here. Unless maybe you're playing as Jess, but then you'll just get overwhelmed everywhere else because your infantry are bad. I think that's basically it for the summary before I actually get into the replay. So let's go into the actual replay. As you can see here, Bowie is actually a pretty good player. I think he's like high 900s in rating, so I'm only like 10, a little bit above 1,000. So he has a lot more matches under his belt than me. So he's got a lot more experience on this map than I do. Meaning you will see me make a couple of plays which are a bit questionable. Now, this opening, I spent like, I'd say 20 minutes labbing it out. He goes for the early artillery here, which is an interesting position. Like my opening so far is like this. This is where I basically, well, no, next turn is where I end my opening. But I start out with my artillery here. And the reason why I build my artillery here is so that it can either, it's like in this perfect spot if you build it into this base where you can either send it right to cover it to help your infantry cap the bottom right corner, or you can send it left if your opponent's trying to make a push for the center west island, the southwest island. And you can use the artillery to just stop that, because you can build a tank next turn as well. Because the one thing that was bad about lamming out my opening like this is that I didn't react to his artillery at all. So I just built my tank where I would have built it anyways if he had made the push down here. So yeah, what I should have done was probably build it like here maybe, or maybe here. Here's probably a better spot, because then I can move into like here and then push his artillery away, because he doesn't have enough infantry around here to help cover it. It's too out of the open here, which is why it's kind of weird that he's actually sending his artillery down this way to begin with, but oh well. It could have been okay actually if I built like a tank here. Yeah, he probably would have sent this down here and then built a tank as well, so that he might have started tank chaining and then fighting over in this area, which I don't know. If I'm Jake, I kind of want to fight in here, I want to fight in here, and I want to fight here. Maybe a little bit on these islands as well, this island as well. But I don't really want to fight in here, so I don't know. But he's going in here so that he's sort of forcing me to go away from this property, but like I can just take this property instead, it's fine. Doesn't matter. And he's going for this, even though I built the tank here. Which I think that was Bowie's first mistake, because I'm able to just move in here, take this guy out, and then just start. Well, this was an okay one as well, because I'm interrupting his cap here as well. So far, he was sort of poised to overtake me in income, but now that I'm interrupting his cap, it's not going to happen. He's for a little bit, and then this move, this infantry, I don't think I should have moved in like that. I should have probably just moved him onto the city here. Because he has too many infantry in the area, and this whole area is plains, so Um, yeah, if I'm moving in like this is a bit too aggressive. Bad move here. But that's not the end of my bad plays this turn, I will say. So I go for the recon here. And I actually base skipped from here in order to get for recon. I will say this recon here, not my best move. This tank I built here mainly to cover my other units here, and then this infantry as well, so I can't move in on him, because this guy can't make it back. So this tank I agree with, but I should have just built infantry instead of the recon, because, like, already he's going to be ahead of me in unit count at the end of his turn, even without the base skip, and I'm just building a recon. And the recon's not going to be able to do too much. Like, it might be able to push here, but as you can see here, he moved in here. He's going to get the comm tower anyways. Right? So, that's not going to matter too much. He's actually hasn't killed my infantry here, but, like, doesn't matter. He's definitely better off in terms of the engagements here, because he's got 2 healthier infantry here, and I just took that for nothing. And then this was an interesting engagement, but I can definitely afford to push in over here, so that's okay. But as you can see here, he just built 2 tanks, so so if I sort of built this to try and push in over here, but like he's got 2 tanks here, he's going to be able to just pressure me out of there with the recon. So recon was kind of a waste of money, and it was a bad play as well. I should have just built infantry there. When I push in over here, which is, it's okay over here, and then I sort of retreat over here as well, which is kind of letting his infantry have free reign a little bit. Like, he moves in this tank, finishes off my infantry as well, which is really annoying. He's got the artillery here, so he's pressuring this city. If I were Billy, I might have wanted to push in even a little bit more aggressively, like move the artillery onto this plains tile, so that not only does he get Jake's firepower bonus, but he's also threatening not only this city, but this base as well. And he has the infantry in the area to, like... Well, actually, no, he doesn't have the infantry in the area to cover that. That would be why he didn't do it. Okay. But I might have done that, just because I'm sort of dumb. But it would have been really good if he were able to put it here, because then he would be fighting these guys. But now that he has his infantry in position, he theoretically could do that next turn, because he has so much pressure built up over here. Like, this is prime Jake territory to push in. And then he's got his 2 tanks here, sort of chaining them up as well, so I can't really push in. And then he's pulling his infantry back, so he's not really pushing ever, which is fine by me. I take out his infantry there, trying to even out the unit gap a little bit, but like, it's not going to be too effective to do that. I get this shot up here, and then it's also good because this way I'm sort of forcing him to keep his artillery here. I go for the second recon here, and this one, it was a lot better than the first one, and the reason for that is he's got all this infantry here. I've got to do something about it, so the recon is actually a pretty cost-effective way to do it over here, to deal with his infantry. That being said, I probably shouldn't have gone for the second base skip here. If I hadn't baked up that first time, I definitely would have had enough for, like, this recon. Not only did it cost me that first base skip, but it cost me the second base skip as well. But this recon was, I will say, is a better recon. I like this recon a lot better. He moves in, and now he's taking a good amount of... He's taking the lead quite significantly in the unit count here. Like, look at this. Just look at this. He's ahead like 6 units already. It's kind of scary. He's ahead another like 9k as well. But I do have the income advantage, so I will be able to slowly kind of just wear him down, as long as I can get past all of his infantry. But he's got, like, look at all of his tanks. At this point, it's time for a medium tank for sure at this point. So getting a nice shot in here, stopping his infantry from capping here is very good. This recon. So this recon's already putting in a little bit of work, whereas this one's just been fucking useless. Gonna move over here to where it's gonna be zoned out by more tanks and be even more useless. Here, I got this guy. Yeah, this is fine. I've got my artillery here, sort of trying to pressure into this city as well. It's kind of funny. He's able to take out this infantry here, but he's got nothing to. He's got my cities are sort of like wide open here, but like he's got no infantry here to actually take advantage of that. So it's fine by me. He's moving in here to basically take out even more of my infantry. Like sticking such a high unit count lead here. Now he goes for a medium tank as well, but he doesn't have nearly enough income to afford a sustained medium tank building battle. Even though I only have like one city up on him right now, that might change in a bit. So I go for my first side flip here, taking this encounter just to get just enough in order to get this and knock him off of there. Moving in and getting this first strike as well, which is nice. Moving in with the artillery down here as well to actually threaten his base. You'll notice that this guy's at 9 health. That's because infantry can't really do too much against artillery. They might take off like 1 health of damage, but like these infantry aren't going to be able to do enough to my artillery to make it so that I don't want to do this. Because putting this artillery here stops him from building anything really effective in this base. He can still build a tank in this one, but not in this one. So that's really good. I'm putting a lot of pressure on this side. And then I basically finish off his infantry here. When I say basically, you will see that it's a bit of a harder thing to get through than you might think. That's fine. So I move in with all my units around here. And it was at this point that I started just using Move Planner like crazy. Move Planner, this is what Move Planner looks like. You can do a lot of stuff here. It's very great for just planning out your moves and your formations and making sure that your enemies can't crack through it. So that's something that you definitely want to use if you're going to be like in this tournament. But yeah, so he's moving in with his infantry here, finishing off, like sort of wiping out as many of them mine as he can in this area. This area is a very good area for Jake to push in as well. So far so good for him. And then he's got his second medium tank over here. And he's got a little bit of a counter push going on over here as well. So what do I do on my turn? Well, first of all, I plan it a little bit. I take the shot off here because this medium tank's too far away from my artillery. Now, this is a bit of a gamble because if he manages to somehow to get to his block rack, which right now he's 19k away from. But that's not like, at the end of the day, that's not something that's like out of reach in one turn for your opponent to get, especially depending on how you place your units. So at this point, I made sure to make sure that I didn't put too much value in his range to where he would be able to get a block rock off, but I was kind of worried about it for the rest of this turn. Like the way this turn I thought I was done for sure, because he had, well actually it's only 4 units right now. So it's only a 2-unit advantage. I thought it would be a lot bigger than that. But I thought for sure that he'd get block rock this turn, because he only needs another 12k. And if he did that, he would have been able to take out my artillery, and then would have been able to, like I would have taken this city, but he would have been able to move in with his infantry to take it back. So he would have taken this northwest island as well. Not to mention all the pushing it in the other areas as well. So that was kind of scary. He takes out my recon here. That recon was the good recon. It did it. I think it probably paid for itself. The other recon did not, though. Not at all. Not at all. That was a bad recon. It was like a 6k worth recon, honestly. Because it cost me those 2 other infantry as well. That was such a bad recon. And look at this. Look at this. He's not even done building units this turn. He's got like an extra 10 units on me at this point. Like, now to be fair, a lot of them are damaged infantry. But you can still do a lot with that. You can still use them for blocking and stuff, so... but as you can see, I'm about to get an even wider income gap. I'm going to be ahead. Oh wow, that's going to be 4K total, so like a 2 property swing at the end after I get this. So that'll be next turn, for sure. Because he's not going to be able to push in here, even with the block rock. Like, this tank could only maybe get to this forest if he pops block rock. So he's not going to be able to interrupt this cap. Because while block rock is good, it only boosts Jake's infantry. No, it doesn't, bait. It only boosts Jake's vehicle movement, is what I wanted to say. So he can't move in with his infantry to interrupt this cap. He's going to have to rely on his vehicles, and he can't do that with this forest here, which is what I'm sort of relying on over here. This was also a bit of a misplay, because if he had popped block rock this turn, he would have been able to move in and take out this infantry with this tank, and then actually take out this artillery as well with the tank. So that's the second time that I sort of dangled this artillery in front of his potential block rack. But he ends up playing pretty defensively. He doesn't go for anything crazy, and like if he had just gone for my tank and then just needed to tank it to this, he would have been able to take that for sure. But he didn't. That's something you always want to keep an eye out for is what can you do to get that last bar of meter, and hopefully take your opponent off guard by doing it. Like this was a misplay on my part as well, because I could have just moved this infantry down here and it would have been perfectly fine. My artillery would have been totally safe. But I didn't do that. So, although, wait, his medium tank was actually he would have been able to move in medium tank if I had done that. So it would have mattered too much. But, he moves in over here. This artillery is placed in a really nice spot as well. Mainly because I can't push in here with these units at all. Because if I try, he'll just pop block rock and he'll zone me out with his artillery. So I obviously have to. I spent like an hour on the move planner for this turn at least. So I have to fall back with all my units and prepare for his block rock, which he will definitely get next turn. I intentionally actually move my medium tank in range of his artillery here. Now it doesn't look like it's in range this turn, but once he pops his block rock, it will be. So this was actually very much calculated because, oh, not that. It's only going to do like half of a medium tank's damage, so that's like 8k, which is about the amount. I'd say that's worth being that first strike on that tank. And half of the health medium tank can still do stuff against light vehicles. It's still pretty effective against long and just tanks. So, I have another medium tank in the area anyways. So, I sort of like tried to bait out. Well, he sort of has to pop it anyways, but I sort of tried to bait it out because not only does this artillery shot, like, it's sort of baiting out the block rock, but like if he goes for the artillery shot here, he's base blocking himself, which means he's gonna have one less unit count next turn. And because I'm desperately behind in unit count, I really want him to make sure that he doesn't gain any ground there. So he pops his superpower, takes the artillery shot, which actually only does 4, luckily for me. Takes out my infantry here, and then he just let his clock run out. I was at work, like, looking at him, and I'm like, booey, no! Booey, no, you have to take your turn, and he didn't take his turn. Like, he could have had such a nice push with his block rock here. Like, he would have taken a big chunk out of my stuff here, and, like, even though I have a really good defensive position here, I don't know if I would have been able to overcome just the damage that he would have been able to do by just yeeting his stuff into my front line. So, like, in terms of... Oh, yeah, also... forgot to build infantry in these 2 bases last turn as well. That was another thing where, like, I clicked on turn and then I went away for like 8 hours, and then when I came back to it, I'm like, oh, I did a double base skip on accident. Because I spent so much time on my... This was so annoying. But I spent so much time perfecting my nice little defensive formation, preparing for his block rock, and then I didn't do that. So at this point I was like sure that he had won, but he didn't go for the push. He just didn't play the game. Honestly, I'm kind of sad that he didn't, because it would have been a lot more fun if he had. But as you can see here, I just go for a crazy good area push, get a side slip in here. So you're seeing mainly the vehicle stuff, which Jake can also do. But now you're seeing the infantry move coming into play a little bit. So that's really nice. 10-10 is also really nice. Like, if I had no, the J5 probably would have been better here, because I was too far away. But yeah, I'm moving in here to sort of zone out this area as well. And then I actually go for this shifty move up here with the infantry into the APC. So my plan here was to keep his artillery here, knock it out next turn, and then use my APC to drop an infantry onto this base. Because basically, if you're able to take a base off of your opponent, you win in this map. That's part of why Sammy is actually so good, because she can do this just on a day-to-day basis for her transports. She can, like, this guy obviously needs to be like on the HQ, but she can move like an infantry here, build a transport here, and then she can just move it next to the opponent's base and offload it onto the base. Like, that's ridiculous. Or onto the mountain next to the base. It's so aggressive with Sammy that you can do this. Of course, like, you need to use tanks and her weaker tanks and stuff to like push it. So it's not like super broken. It's not like impossible to deal with, but yeah. And then he just let the clock run out after that, so I won after this. And honestly, I'm kind of... This was kind of a letdown, honestly. It's a very underwhelming way to win the match. Like, I feel like Bowie could have definitely won if he had actually just played. Even if he had just yeeted his units into my units, he had enough stuff built up. He had enough of a unit count, but he could have absorbed the stuff. And even though he's down like 4K, he could have won. He had enough of an infantry block here that could have just overcome that income advantage I had. So I think that's something that if you're playing the tournament, you definitely need to make sure that you don't get demoralized and just forfeit and throw in the towel unnecessarily. And also play the match instead of letting the clock run out like that. Like, anyways, I'm just... It could have been so much more of a funner... But oh well. GG. Bowie did a very good... He played very, very well up until his block rock. In which he realized that he base blocked himself, I think. That's probably why he stopped playing, but he could have... It didn't matter. I don't think it mattered. He could have gotten so much damage off anyways. Enough talking about that. Let's yeah, I guess I can talk a little bit about tournament mindset. Is you always... Because you have 6 hours in this tournament, so you always have time to like look at this, think about it while you're like getting a snack or something, making sure you're energized, spending like an hour or two in Move Planner, making sure that everything is all set, and then you're good to go. That's sort of how I play in Global League too, but you also have like a week in Global League, so that also happens. And yeah, but you also, I will say, because Just because of how this tournament is set up, you kind of need to spend at least an hour a day minimum on it if you want to have any chance of actually progressing. So yeah. So basically, you can take day-long turns, but like 3-day-long turns. He literally ran out of clock time. Like it says 1347, that's way more than he had at this point. It's way more time than he had at this point. Well, actually, no. That was his last turn. He had 13 hours, and then he just didn't do it. Which is a shame, because he could have definitely won if he had played at all. Well, he played a lot. He played a lot, but if he had actually played at the end, if he had played consistently, that would have been good for him. Anyways, that should about wrap it up for me for the day. For this video, I am now going to. I'm definitely going to make another video on the first step into Fog Game, which is an interesting match. It's tier 3, but Rain. So obviously, I'm picking Sonya for this. If you don't know, so Rain is going to basically make it so that your opponent's infantry can't see shit. So I'm playing Sonya. So I'm win or lose, I'm definitely going to do the battle report for that. Oh, stuffs are banned. That's interesting. Is that... Well, anyways, I will get back to that later. I've been going on for long enough. If you're wondering about what I'm going to be doing for my Global League series, which I usually do every Sunday, that's going to be on hold for a little bit, because I just finished my second season of that anyways, since I got back to 1K in the last episode. That's going to be on hiatus until the end of the Egg Cup, but I will be putting out videos potentially more frequently, potentially less frequently, depending on how long these matches take. But I will be putting them up basically as soon as I'm done with each match. So, yeah. Anyways, that's it from me. Like, subscribe, and all that nonsense. And other than that, I am out. See you guys next time.